welcome everyone to another episode of Wednesday Night Live. Tonight it's just me and Tim for a little bit. We're waiting for Brian. He should be jumping in here shortly. And also Daniel will be joining us. He'll be a guest host. He'll be our first official guest host. He's going to take Tom's spot for tonight because Tom is, let's just say he's on
Tom's
vacation.
fucking off.
He's making the cheese.
Yeah,
he's making the cheese.
He thinks he's doing something more important than this, but we hate to break the news to him.
Yeah. And on tonight's show, we're going to talk about brand loyalty. And is it still a thing here? I think things have changed in the last 8 years, so I'm kind of curious to see how you guys think about that. And also let us know what brands you guys are loyal to. Tim's going to bring us the latest news and advocacy, and so let's not waste any time and say hello to Tim.
Hey, everybody. I don't know how to follow that act. Usually I have to wait for two other yucca-pucks to say a few words before we get to this point, but no, I'm doing good. Kind of sort of feel like I'm running a little bit on empty. I had a long night last night. I didn't do anything bad, wrong, and or otherwise. I went over to a friend's house on the other side of Atlanta, over in Smyrna, and installed a MyQ garage door opener. But it was my first time ever doing a dual garage installation. Like mine is a single. I only have one big fat door, and then I did another one for a neighbor, and they have two garage doors, but they didn't need the other one. Hey, what's up, Cloud Queen?
Cloud Queen.
And so I only did one there, and then yesterday was my first. They had three bays, but we did two of them. So anyway, it's all It was a successful installation, and then we went out for dinner, and then went back to their place for wine and just chilled and hung out. So I didn't get home until kind of late, and then I didn't sleep much. So
does the garage door work? That's the important thing.
It was 1,000% successful. And we got it all linked up and voice activated with Aloha. I can't say her name, otherwise I'll wake her up in this room.
Wake her up.
Anyhow, and hey, Mallory. But at any rate, yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I enjoy projects like that, so I was more than happy to go over there. So the tank, the tank is nearly empty, but I got my second wind, so I think I'll survive another night.
I think you'll be okay. Tim's a trooper. What was he got? It would be a trooper, right? What was the thing we used to say? When
I don't know. You made me think of Iron Maiden for a hot minute.
Yeah, for a hot minute, trooper.
Yeah. I guess you could say I'm a trooper. Yeah, you know what? I worked for an international company for a lot of years, and I was about 6-7 hours behind everybody most times, and then I'd have to travel a lot. So, yeah, you get over to Europe and they take you out a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going into the office at 6:30 in the morning, and your head feels like someone's got a sledgehammer on the inside.
And they're just about to start lunch, so.
No. I mean, when I'm there in Europe.
When
I'm there, it's different situation. Different situation when you're here. Yes. Then I was about 5 to 6 hours behind most people. Singapore 12. Yeah. Australia and New Zealand about 15 to 16. So, I mean, they're already in tomorrow. So you ask for the lottery numbers.
Well, I just want to say I hate you because you get to go to see concerts. I had not yet to get to see a concert yet this summer, and you've probably already seen 3 or 4, right? Well, you hang out.
You talking about national acts or local bands?
Just locals, even locals.
No,
would be fine.
You know what? Without getting into any politics of COVID restrictions. No, Georgia's been open pretty much since about June this year. So when everybody was really going down on lockdown, Georgia kind of took a much softer stance to a lot of things. Now we had capacity limits, but yeah, I've been going to shows since June.
I hate you.
Yeah. So I really have kind of what we have not had though is the national acts coming through. Those are the ones that were curbed because they're they're the ones that they have a little bit more at stake and they can't do the tours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Everything has just been canceled here. It kind of sucks.
They
But
haven't opened up shows at all?
no, nothing.
Man, you need to
Some of
move out of that
some
state.
of the wineries are doing things, but then again, it's like a package deal, so you kind of have to like the winery that you're going to go to and the band that's going to be there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're trying to help out a lot of the local bands. So it might be a band you never heard of or seen before, and then it's like, it's $50, and that includes wine, a couple some wine samples, like 5, 6 different wines, and maybe a little bit of food. But it's a lot of times it's a band that really sounds horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I like all types of music, but I have a hard time just concentrating with jazz. And it seems like all the jazz bands are available right now for some reason, Tim.
You know what? I can't do blues and I can't do jazz. No offense to the people that dig that sort of stuff. Like, hey, I love music and I'm all across the spectrum when it comes to that. But I don't know. I had a neighbor who was a blues player.
Yeah.
And he made amplifiers. That was his side business.
Yeah.
And it drove me insane because I was in a townhouse at that time.
Yeah.
And he would just blare it through the walls and like bam, 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 bam. It was all blues all night. And then jazz is, I don't know. It's all over the place. So I don't know. I have a hard time consuming.
I can't keep up with it. What's up, Jake? Jake, the guy with the golden voice that's on our sports talk, is out there. Look at that.
Oh, that's Jake. He's the hockey guy.
Yeah, he's our hockey guy and the guy with the golden
on.
voice. I swear to God, guys, if you ever hear this guy speak and you look at his frame, you would never imagine that voice came out of that man. So let's get right into the topic. And the reason I brought this topic up tonight is brand loyalty, because I think I've seen a change, and Tim probably has as well. But if you go back, maybe let's see here. Let me go back. Let's say you go back 4 years ago.
Yeah.
There was this huge loyalty. You were either loyal to a specific mod company, whether it was TVL, whether it was I'm going blank here now. Some of the old boys. What are some of the older ones? I'm trying to think of the AV.
Yeah. Purge.
Purge, and it also applied to a lot of the e-liquid companies too. We saw a lot of people that just plugging away at one specific brand. So I was wondering for you guys, have you guys noticed the change, and what are your favorite brands? What are the brands that you guys are loyal to? Everybody pretty much knows who I'm loyal to. It's pretty obvious.
Dot somebody.
No. I mean, as far as e-liquid brands. I have mine, and I'm sure Tim has his too. That he's, every month he makes sure his shelf is full with those e-liquids, and we'd like to hear from you guys too. Is what's your favorite brand, and which brands are you loyal to? Tim, which ones are you? I mean, which one are you ordering every week or every month?
You know what? I kind of overdid it, maybe a bit during the panic buying season. But I'm a Monster Labs person, so I tend to roll with the Jam Monster lines, the Ice Monster, Fruit Monster. Yeah. Not a big custard fan, so I pretty much avoid the custards across the board. But if you were to look at my vape shelf right now with all my juice on there, it's about 90% Jam Monster flavors as far as juice goes. And I think the primary reason is almost every one of them is good. At least, I mean, that's where it really starts. I mean, you got to enjoy it. But I mean, I like really strong, noticeable flavors. I don't really like subtle vapes, where it's like, not that you're really hunting for what you're supposed to be tasting, but it's just on the light side. I know a lot of people are big fans of that. God, I wanted to say cotton candy, but it's not cotton candy. It's like Taffy Man stuff, like the Taffy Man juices. And I know people love that stuff, but like all those juices for me are just really light. So that's why I like Jam Monster, because it just punches you in the face.
And you're a fruit guy too. Well, you know what I mean. You're not a fruit, but you like fruit flavored e-liquids.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
So you basically, so when you're looking for a specific fruit flavor, you want that one flavor to be pronounced in that
Yeah, I definitely
profile.
want something to be accentuated and definitely
Yeah,
presiding in the
yeah,
vape.
yeah,
Whether it's a like a strawberry or an apple or something, like I definitely want it to, punch you in the mouth. I want to
yeah.
feel like I remember there was one juice that I absolutely loved that ZB used to carry a long time ago. Remember tie dye?
Oh,
Remember
tie dye.
that?
Yeah, tie
Yeah, and
dye.
it was like a peach. It was a peach combination. It was like peach and something else. I can't remember. Oh, strawberry peach. That's what it was. And gosh darn it, in that particular vape, both of them were really, really juicy and thick. So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of where I start. And so if certain lines aren't pronounced and obvious, then I just tend to not get into it.
yeah. Well, these were the top vape e-liquids. I almost said the other word. For as of was December 2020. Naked was number. What? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, eight was Naked. The Naked
Yeah.
line. The one was number 7. Jam Monster was number 6. Lemon Twist was number
They're good.
5. Mr. Freeze,
Who are
Bad
they?
Drip, Cutwood, and the finest, sweetest, and sour e-liquids. I've never heard. Well, I don't know why these guys are number one, but I've never. For the life of me, I've never seen the finest, sweet, and sour e-liquid. So I
I've
might have
never
to.
even heard of that one, and I didn't
Never,
ever hear of that other one that you mentioned too.
which
What was
one?
number 4?
Mr.
I think it was.
Freeze. Mr.
Yeah, who are
Freeze.
they?
Mr. Freeze. I'll have to Google them too because I
I've
don't.
never even heard of them.
I know most of them. Naked, the one, of course. The one was huge. And
Yeah.
that was about the 2019, 2018. I think that's when the one started that downfall. It started becoming it started becoming that one brand that people weren't buying anymore for some reason. And I think a lot of it had to do with it was just a coil killer. It was just basically it would just destroy all their whole line, whatever one you bought from them, just really just destroyed your coils. And then these were the premier e-liquids of 2021. So Dinner Lady was number 1, Humble Juice Company, Sad Boy, Pucha Mama, how do you say that?
Pachamama.
Pachamama,
Yeah.
Vaptasia, Naked, and Glass Basic. So all those I've heard of. So and pretty much those are the top. I'm surprised. I thought for sure Dinner Lady was lower down on that list because it seems like I see that everywhere, and I'm willing to bet at least 5 or 6 people in the chat are vaping have a bottle of Dinner Lady on their shelf somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I certainly think that once people latch on to particular brands, they stick with them, provided they're still around. I mean, some end up fading away and we never see them again. But I mean, I don't think people ever really walk. I think what you see more of during those time frames, like when you say like Dinner Lady was like you're surprised they were kind of low on the list.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that they weren't popular or a favorited brand by a lot of people, but I think certain juice lines become trendy.
Yeah.
And I think like when somebody says, "Oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. You got to get this," then everybody runs out and buys it, and then it becomes real predominant, like on social media, and you see it
Yeah.
shared and talked about often. And then I think the newness kind of wears off, and people tend to go back to their comfort vapes and stuff.
Dinner Lady, I was trying to remember. It didn't get a lot of. I'm trying to remember because I can almost picture throughout the years what brands were real big on IG. And Dinner Lady wasn't one of those brands that I saw a lot of people doing pictures with. But what I did notice with Dinner Lady, it was a lot of the reviewers were using it and plugging it. So I mean, maybe that had a little bit to do with it. Maybe it was just the way they chose to advertise. And I think too at that time, it was a European brand, correct? Back then, before it's now distributed in the United States. But I think before years ago, I think that was the company that actually it was it was distributed through the UK.
Right.
It's a UK company,
Yeah.
but I remember that brand being really plugged on Mike's show, Mark's show, not so much Phil's show, but because they have their own brand. But it was plugged a lot on a lot of the brands, and I enjoy it. I think they got really good juice. But like you, I'm the same way. I'm not huge on pastry stuff, and when I do vape pastry stuff, a lot of times it's because I have a cup of coffee in front of me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that I mean, I'm trying to go back a little bit and try to think about where I was in my journey when I was doing like more of the desserty kind of pastry kind of vapes and stuff. And I think I struggle with it mightily. Like I tried a ton of those Cinnarolls and different ones that were kind of like lemon bars and all that cheesecakes and all that fun stuff. But then, the one that I latched onto the most and I stuck with, or at least I tried to stick with the most, was Grandmaster from Five Ponds. That was my jam. That I loved the heck out of that juice. And but it was pricey. I mean, that was
pricey.
when we were still buying 30 ml bottles before 60s were a thing, before hundreds became popular. You were dropping $27, $28 on a 30 ml bottle. And if that was your favorite juice, you were having to basically ration it like you were living up on a friggin' mountain and the zombie apocalypse was coming. And you had 30 people that all liked Grandmaster too. And so, you were like, I mean, granted, we were not using the same kind of like powerful devices and tanks and addies that we were using, but I was dripping it. That's when I was kind of going through my clone mech phase and stuff like that, and I loved it. But then I stumbled onto this one brand, and I don't know, I think they're still around. I don't know, maybe somebody in the comments knows about them, but they were a company called Bumblebee.
Oh, Bumblebee, yeah.
Bumblebee e-liquids. They were out of Virginia. They were a small mom and pop thing. It was a dude and his wife, I think. And they had this one thing called banana butter, and that was that flavor was the closest thing that I ever found to Grandmaster in an affordable e-liquid price. I think they were sub $20 for a 30 ml bottle.
Yeah.
And I did go looking for it here recently, just because it popped in my head. But I stuck with them for a while too. So I don't know. I've moved across, a lot of different brands over time. And you'll have to forgive me. Maybe you'll recall who they were. The one that I loved, I want to say they were called. Their brand name was MM. It was like Minuteman e-liquids or something like that. And they had blue bottles. That was their thing. They all had blue bottles, and they had 3 or 4 flavors that I just loved the heck out of.
A neon blue bottle.
Yeah, it was like a dark blue azure bottle.
Okay.
I have to go through my old vape photos. I guarantee you I got a picture of it somewhere. But I stuck with them for a long time. But then Jam Monster, I finally broke down. Well, I got away from bakery flavors. I lost the enthusiasm for them because they all just started to taste very one-dimensional to me.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing exciting, nothing new, and everything tasted almost literally the same. Like you couldn't, everything caramel taste. Oh, what was the other one that I was big on?
Well, with pastries, like I said, for me, what I noticed with pastries is I needed that coffee, or I needed something hot that I was drinking at that time. Even cocoa seemed to work, just
Right.
kind of enhanced it for some reason. Where if I just had water, it was just like, to me, probably the same thing. Caramel just tasted burnt.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it depended though. I think that was all variable. I mean, I don't know. For me, it was just I needed a change. I just needed to get away from the bakery flavors because cereals. I couldn't stand them anymore. It wouldn't matter which one you bought; they all tasted the damn same. So then I switched up because I avoided fruits quite readily just for desserty kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And once I went to fruits, it's like now I have a couple bakery flavors maybe that I just once in a while vape, but yeah, so I stick with the fruits.
It is becoming. There are some people that will swear by that statement. It's just like it doesn't matter who's making it. If it's a company that they enjoy, and it may taste similar to like we all run into it. There's especially when we were vaping cereals, it's just
Yeah.
like they all kind of tasted the same. One may have been just a slight different than the other one, but pretty much well back then all the cereal vapes tasted like lemon. So it was just you got the lemon, and if you were lucky, if you got the berry or any of the other flavors that were supposed to be in that cereal at the time, but pretty much everything was lemon. But yeah, there are people that'll just they'll say, like, this is the best. It's like, this is the best, like the best bottle of wine. This is the best e-liquid. It's the most amazing e-liquid. And they don't want to taste anything or try anything. Those are the people I want to talk to tonight. Those are the guys I want to see in the chat.
Yeah, I've never been somebody that's just stuck with one brand the whole time, won't buy anything else. Yeah, I just never, ever had that. By the way, that e-liquid company was called Mastermind Elixirs.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if
hello?
anybody remembers. They had DJ's Locker and Sinful and some other ones. Conjure was one of them.
No wine, Becky. No wine
Some
flavors.
people might remember them, so I don't know. Flatline, that was the one that I loved, was Flatline. And then they did something and changed the recipe, and it never tasted the same. And now they're gone. They're gone with the wind, just like the other multitudes of e-liquid companies.
Well, back like 5-6 years ago, man. It's leveled off now, for obvious reasons for PMTAs and other reasons. But man, there was a new flavor, a new company coming out every day, and it was just like, and I was just like, and we get to the point where it's just like, as like for me, I sampled so many juices that kept coming in for me to photograph, and I was just like, okay, did you ever feel like I couldn't tell? I mean, if I got two similar apples, and let's just stick with apple. Sour green apple vape.
Yep.
And I covered both of them up, and I didn't let you know which one was which. And one of them was your favorite brand. Do you think you'd be able to spot which one was which? Tough. It's kind of a tough question, but
there's a good chance that you probably would. And I don't know why it is. I mean, I get that most flavorings all come from the same places, but not everybody blends the same.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's going to be like, to me, it's going to be the difference between Coke and Pepsi. They're both kind of a sweet caramelly soda, but you can instantaneously tell which one's a Coke and which one's a Pepsi.
Oh yeah, Coke.
So I think if you did do that and you threw two apples in front of me and one happened to be like my favorite bomb ass apple that I love, whatever, I could probably tell, a little bit, because I just don't think I've never, to this day, I don't think even across all the lines that I've ever purchased that I've ever had two that are identical.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious, you guys in the chat, is there a brand that you guys buy loyally every week? Or I don't know, well, I say week because everyone's now vaping, 30 mils a day, but is there a brand that you guys religiously buy every month that you make sure you have on your shelves? We're kind of curious to see what you guys are vaping on.
I can tell you one person who watches the show, not on the show tonight, but if Amber Horde was on the show, I guarantee you she all she buys is like, it used to be called Pink Punch, whatever, from Twist or whatever they're called. Now they have to call it like Pink Zero or something like that. They changed their naming conventions. Yeah. And she buys a metric butt ton of that stuff. I guarantee you she would tell you that. And they do have some great juices. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Twist has great stuff.
That's the thing too. I mean, because I think we've gotten to the point now with regulations and all this other nonsense that a lot of times now it's not just solely price anymore that's making us pick a brand to purchase anymore. I think it's come down to convenience and availability. Yeah, and I think that's where the loyalty, I really don't think the loyalty to even a hardware company is there anymore. I think it's just what's affordable, what's available, what I can get, right now. And what I was talking to the guy at the vape shop, and hardware has taken off in the last 2 months in their shop because people aren't buying online because they're afraid it's going to get not lost in shipping, but end up being shipped back to the company that shipped it out, and they're going to take months to get their money back. So their hardware sales have taken off, and he's also told me the little small pod devices that a lot of us are using are just exploding. He's a lot of the two battery mods are kind of sitting around. They're not being sold because guys are jumping into single battery mods, and a lot of people are buying smaller devices right now, and they are also going the route of the internal battery, which I think that has a lot to do with maybe safety is probably one of the things concerned with, not having to buy a charger and then batteries and having to have that always, just being able to have the mod with you and just an outlet.
Right. Yeah, well, definitely portability has a lot to do with that, because a lot of people are out and about working or whatever, and it's just inconvenient to carry all that crap around with you. So yeah, those particular devices tend to fit the mode of life a lot more conveniently. The dual battery mods, the triple battery mods, the big honking things, squonkers and stuff like that. That's all at home stuff. That's your shelf stuff. Like when you come home and you want a totally different experience.
Your desk mod. Now, speaking of hardware, I'm going to give you the. This is funny because I went ahead to do this list. I wanted to separate the hardware from starter kits to regular mods, and so these right here from 1 to 10 are the number one selling devices right now in the country, in our country, in the U.S. Let me make sure everybody understands that. The Vupu GT160 is number 10. Lost Vape Q Ultra, number 9. The Inikin Coma Z, number 8. Vaporesso Zero is number whatever. I lost track.
You're 7. You're at 7.
Geek Vape Aegis Mini.
Okay.
The Vupu Drag 2 Refresh Edition. I have no idea what the fuck the Refresh Edition is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Jewel, number 2.
They're number 2. You skipped 4 and 3?
No. I'm sorry. No. I did. Yeah, no, I did. Vupu, Lost Vape, Inikin, Vaporesso Zero, Geek Vape Aegis Mini,
5.
The Vupu Drag 2 Refresh
4.
Edition. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8.
Okay.
So,
All right. I thought we were doing 10.
Yeah. Jules number 2, and
really
Smoke PRM 280 device is the number one selling hardware in the country. Now, starter kits. Now, remember what I just said that list was. The number one starter kits, the Smock RPM 280. The Jewel, number 2. The Vupu Drag Refresh Edition. Geek Vape Aegis. Yeah, did I go through those? Yeah. Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah. The Vaporesso Zero. The Inikin Chroma Z. Lost Vape Q Ultra. Some of these I don't even know. I know that one. The Vapu GT 160, which I have no idea. I haven't seen that.
The list is exactly the same as the previous list.
It's exactly the same as the previous one. The Vaporesso Sky Solo Plus.
What are these mods? I've never even heard of them. I guess maybe I'm under a rock at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the PRM 80 thing that you mentioned, I think I'm familiar with that. But
that's the number one.
And Jewel, I don't even pay attention. So
yeah, I don't even pay attention. And number 10, the Vupu Vincent Pod Mod. It was number 10. So.
Oh, Vinci. The Vupu Vinci. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 8 that are number one hardware is a pod device.
It's not surprising, to be honest with you. I'm actually not shocked with that. I think the real down in the weeds kind of people are a little bit more like us, where we have some of those for our own. What's up, Dan?
Yeah,
what's up, brother? We have some of those, for our own conveniences, but we're a little bit more adventurous, I think, because not for us, we have a little bit more of a nuanced vaping style, so we tend to like to go get a little bit of the prettier ones or the more complicated ones. I think the average person is just going to go get something that's convenient and easy, and they can take with them and throw it in the car and just go.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm not surprised.
either smock or smoke, whatever way you want to say it, has the most amazing marketing team ever to exist in any industry whatsoever, or they just damn lucky,
Right.
because it absolutely to me it makes no sense. I know there are a lot of you out there that swear by that company, and in the beginning, I thought it was a great device. The first one I had lasted forever. It was a great device, and then it just slowly gotten worse and worse. Triggers would break, 510s would stop working, battery doors would stop closing, screens would go out, all
Yeah.
sort of things. But to me, either they have the best marketed team, or their availability is just price margin, maybe. I have no idea. But every shop, there isn't a shop in America that you
Yeah.
can go into and not see a smock device. There isn't one.
Yeah, well, I definitely think they're prevalent on the marketplace. I mean, they're definitely a brand name that people are ultimately familiar with. But I think for the newer person who's getting into vaping, or someone who maybe hasn't, they bought those devices when they first started and they've had them for a year now and stuff like that. They're probably not going to venture out and try a bunch of different ones. They're going to stick with that, and then they're just going to tell their friends, "Well, I got this, I got that."
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're going to stand there. I don't know. For me, it always seemed like there was a differential. It was you either argued about the device itself as being flaky, or you complained about the tank and its coils.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that was the difference.
Yeah, those are the original one that came out that I had, which was the what was that damn thing? The Prius, or what was that thing? It was the first one with the trigger.
I know the one you're talking about, but I don't remember.
Everybody bought.
Prism,
it.
was it Prism?
I'm sorry, I apologize. The Alien, the smock
Okay,
alien,
yeah.
the Alien. I loved it. It was great. It fit in the hand. It was just it fit in your pocket. It fit in your hand nice. It was easy to hold. It was comfortable. Back then, which was I don't know, it was the TF4 maybe. I don't know what number.
Yeah, that was like the first one. The
Yeah.
TFV4 was like the first one. Then they did the 8. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Amazing coils, and they lasted forever. And like I said, I in a pinch, if something happened, I was out and about somewhere, some town, I could walk into a vape shop and they had coils. They may have cost $10 a piece, but they had them. So I always had them in the pinch.
Right.
But it's just amazing. And to be honest, I don't think they were the first in the community or in the industry to come out. So it's just weird how all of a sudden they were the brand that kind of took off. They were the brand that vape shops were buying. They were the brand. They had these devices, and they weren't the first. If you really think about it,
No.
It was Sigelli. It was Wismec, and some of the other brands that were out there. They were first to the show. Now, Wismec not so much, but Sigelli. What was the other one? God dang it! Why is my brain shutting
And I
off?
probably have one of them. I'm turning around and I'm
they were the first ones to the gate. They had the device, it worked well, and it just seems like Smock just came out of nowhere and all of a sudden just took over everything, because like back in the days with on the ZampleBox page, it was Smock.
Kanger Tech was extremely popular. Yeah, and you're right, Dan. There was all the Priv lines. There was the G Priv and the and all of those. I think where Smoke. I think where they were able to kind of stay in the realm was that they were always relevant. Like they never really ever went away. Like Sigelli seemed to have like this huge gap in time where you weren't seeing something new or innovative coming from them. I don't know if they were just dialing back innovation or they were just riding the sales on something really pop. I had another one that just popped up in my head while I was talking about Sigelli, but there was other lines. Oh, Inikin was like that too. I remember when I first started vaping and I kind of started getting into some of the newer stuff, and you had like the M134, and then you had the VTR.
VTR.
You had all those that were coming out, which were really well-made devices. I mean, that VTR, I swear to God, you could kill a person with the VTR. If you throw that thing, it's like humming a grenade. I mean, that thing was made out of solid metal. But even Inikin, I felt like they had like a gap in their innovation and their developing and their design, and then a company like Smoke or Smoke. Why do we always have to disclaim the name?
Yeah, let's just
I'm just
say
going to say
Smoke.
Smoke. I'm just going to say
Smoke?
Smoke.
You're gonna
It's
say- okay,
more
we'll
it's
stick
more
with Smoke.
comfortable. It's more comfortable for me. But I think with them, they just always stayed relevant. They were always pushing something new out, whether it be a sub-ohm tank or whether it be a mod or a combo starter kit or something like that. They were always staying relevant all the time.
Yeah.
So if it's always consistently there, even when you have antiquated devices behind it, your line is always going to be visible. And then if you just vanish for a while and nothing's coming out from them, then the vacuum gets filled, right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody else is going to show up on the street corner.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, that was a thing because, like, in the beginning, for me, everyone that I knew of was like, you either bought Sigelli or you bought Inikin,
Right.
and because they were just, I had the what did I have? I had two of them. I had the IPV
The
20.
three. Well, they had the IPv 2, 3, and 4. They went to the 5. They got all the way up to the 5, didn't they?
I had the IPV 20. Or the 20-watt device, and that thing was a brick. It was a brick. But
Yeah.
as we moved up into our vaping styles, it changed. That 20 watts wasn't enough. Next thing I knew, I was buying something with it that was 80 watts, and then next thing I know, I was buying something that was 100 watts.
Yeah.
And then Wismec just kind of blew us all away and said, "Here you go. Here's a
Jabo.
Yeah, J-Bo with his, and he's like, "Here you go, 250 watts." I was thinking to myself, do I need it? Do I need 250 watts?
Well, I don't know. Look at the Sigelli 150. I mean, I think I bought it probably more based on the aspect that it could do it, not that I actually needed it, because I don't think I'd even crept into that space yet. I was still probably somewhere anywhere between 50 and 70 watts for most things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like, oh, it's cool. You had the firmware update that could get you to 150. And so, so you buy it and, you just want it. You're like,
want it.
so you can tell your friend, when your buddy comes over and you're like, oh, check out this new Sigelli mod. This one goes up to 150 watts.
Then you like loving pushing that button and just showing them that it went to 150. You're just like,
and they're like, what do you need all that for?
What are you
I
gonna do
don't.
with that?
I don't. I just like that I can push the button and it goes to 150.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the beginning, they didn't have the lock feature, which ended up being put in your pocket and then accidentally getting up to 225 watts, and then pulling it out of your pocket to hit it, and then realizing you just
If you didn't already feel your leg on fire, or there's smoke, there was vapor coming out of your pocket, and you could just hear the crackle of the e-liquid going on. And you're like, what is it? And then you look down and you realize your leg's nearly on fire. And I think a lot of people, Jennifer, were
they were pissed about that door, boy. And they still, to be honest, they are just now figuring out how to do a proper hinge door. And I don't get it. I know that there's a lot of things that need to go into making a mod, but it seems like that hinge on all these doors, and I'm not gonna shit on anybody, but the drop or whatever this thing, what is this called? The top side. I don't touch it anymore. It sits on my desk because I can't set it down without my door popping open.
Is that the original or the carbon?
The original. The original
Okay,
top
yeah.
I cannot set this down. I have tried setting it down super nice, just laying it down real soft, and the door goes poop. And I'm like, done. Yes, Snow Wolf. They tried to make that comeback. Now, who bought Snow Wolf, or Snow Wolf bought? Did Sigelli buy Snow Wolf? Because then all of a sudden their mods started looking similar, and they started using the what do you call it, chip too as well, the Yeehee chip. in the
I never
snow.
had that. That's one brand I never had. I think for me the deal breaker was the wolf on the side of the damn thing. I
I
don't know.
thought
Just
about putting rubber bands on it, but then it looks cheesy. It's just like,
what
okay,
did they make silicone sheaths for it that you could like push it down in as opposed
no,
to
yeah. As soon as you set it down, when there's batteries in it, right now there's no batteries in it. But if I were to put some batteries in this damn thing, and as soon as I set it down, for some reason it pops the door open. And it's not just mine; it's a big complaint by a lot of people. Oh,
well, he's
and it
even
just
having a hard time putting the batteries in.
yeah. So what
It's
they
first
what,
sign of old age.
yeah, what they did is they just didn't leave enough shelves, enough area for that other part of the door to slide in and under to hold it there. So when you set it down, it just pops open every time.
Yeah, or if you slide it across the table, it probably opens up.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's trial and error. I mean, I'm gonna guess that probably when some of the prototypes come out for the guy who's designing it, or something like that, you don't know what's going to happen when it starts going across the mass manufacturing lines and things like that.
Oh, Tommy!
Look at
Tommy.
Tom's picture. He looks like a young,
Yeah.
he's a strapping young lad in that picture. And then he
Yeah.
gets on camera and then the whole thing just fucking falls apart.
Yeah. Now, and also, I was going to jump into, since we're doing e-liquid and hardware, and I said, well, why not? Let's look up who is the number one most viewed YouTube vape reviewer, and I went through that list, and I don't know about this list because I don't think Rip is still number one.
I don't know. I stopped watching him a long time ago.
I have stopped watching him too. I should have jumped onto YouTube to see what his views are, but I don't know. Rip officially is still the number one watched YouTube reviewer. Indoor Smokers is number 2. Zophie is number 3. Grim Green is number 4. Dash Vapes is gone, but somehow they're still 5th. Right?
Right.
Life with Twisted is in there.
Yeah.
Mike Vapes is in there.
Yeah.
Then it's Matt from SMM,
Yes.
Alex from Vapors MD, Daniel over at DJ LSB Vapes, and at the bottom of the list, Mr. J Hayes.
That's your top 10.
That is the top 10
And
on the list.
all of them I have watched at one point in the game or another. I started mostly with Twisted.
Yeah.
Twisted was pretty much and quite a bit of Rip too. But his at that time, I mean, his delivery was a little different. He was a little bit more involved doing coil wrapping and different elements of it as opposed to just doing the straight device reviews. Twisted was doing head-to-heads, and he was a little different at that time.
Yeah.
And then SMM, well, they were just suck my mod at that point,
Yeah.
but I did watch Matt and Vanessa often.
Yeah, I'm looking at this list, and I do believe Indoor Smokers is in the right spot. I do believe he should be in that number 2 spot, but I don't think Grim should be number 4. I think Grim should be above Zophie, and I don't think she even does very many vape reviews anymore at all. Dash Vapes is shut down, right? They're gone. They don't even have a channel anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, but they just pumped. They're pumping out videos about different
Okay.
things. They were the ones that did that video. I don't know if anybody saw it. It's hilarious. I found it on Twitter actually, or did I find it? They did a video It was they're a Canadian-based company, but they did like a spoof video about how they invented the cigarette.
Oh,
that
God.
it was the next innovation because e-liquid was going away. So it's a pretty funny video if you can find it. So they may not have that avenue anymore, but yeah, is it Dash TV on YouTube?
Is Dash TV now. Okay,
Okay.
I see that now.
Okay, yeah. So that video was absolutely awesome. But yeah, I didn't really learn about Dash vapes until much later. Now I did like the series that they did. where they called it like they did like their 2-minute series where they would take like a particular vaping topic and they would address it in a 2-minute span.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. But I don't know. I think as I advanced in vaping and I got more accustomed to different devices, I just tried different reviewers because you would want to get those different points of view. And you're right. I did watch Indoor Smokers a lot in the beginning, a lot. Like back when I was doing Cardos and the Kanger tanks and the I can't remember the name of it now. But anyway, yeah, very early on, I was watching him as well.
Yeah, they had to change their name. I just looked it up. Rip did a video June 29th. It was on the Drop Solo 1.5 RDA by DigiFlavor. And Mr. Rip is pulling in 19,931 views. So he must be still king. He must be still king.
Well, and he puts out content all the time.
It's the thing too with Rip, and say what you will about him, I don't care, but the quality of his videos and the close-ups is just way above anyone else out there as far as lighting, the clarity of their video. He shoots in 4K, which is insane. Yeah. I'd hate to have to sit and edit that, a 4K video. I'm just, I think that has a lot to do. And let's see here. The one before that one was the Smock TFV. Here we go. Is the Smock TFV 18, Tim? The 18.
There goes a whole bottle of juice in one tank.
He pulled in 79K in views, 79,000 views.
But is it a matter of first? I mean, really, it begs the question, right? And you guys in the chat chime in on this one a little bit. But I mean, what draws you into a particular vape reviewer? Is it their shtick? Is it their
personality?
Their personality. Is it to what degree they actually get into the detail about reviewing? Because some I wouldn't say that people completely discount every element of reviewing a particular device, but I feel like some reviewers kind of brush over a lot of stuff rather quickly, maybe because they've got a ton of devices they're trying to review in a short period, and so they don't want the videos to last nearly as long. Is it that you like the detailed guy? Like I noticed that Daniel DJ LSB, like I didn't notice he's not even on that list, but he's a very detailed, in-depth
he's number
reviewer.
Number 9.
Oh, he's number 9. Okay, so he's in there. He's in the 10. So what draws you to a vape reviewer that makes you stick with him? I mean, I think nobody can deny that people didn't love watching Twisted because he would drop stuff all the time. Damn it, and he would drop stuff all the time. So that was like kind of like his thing, and he was naturally had a good sense of humor and stuff like that. I think for me, I kind of ventured away from the comical stuff because I feel like. I'm not saying that funny doesn't mean you're being serious, but I think that sometimes when you're being funny and trying to make it only funny, that you tend to kind of maybe it doesn't feel like you're getting like a serious kind of deep dive study on something. I think Grimm's great because I think he balances comedy and seriousness. Matt, he's mostly serious. Like he'll tell a couple dry humor jokes during a review.
Dad jokes.
Yeah, he'll do like dad jokes, or he'll chuckle a little bit. But he's not like trying to be like some TV star, comedy show kind of act. And no offense to any of the reviewers that take that angle, because that does buy them views. People like that kind of thing. I just don't. For me, I usually will watch Mike Vapes. I'll look at Matt. I like the way both of them counter each other, especially with their pros and their cons. And then beyond that, it all kind of really depends. I might go looking for a third review on something like maybe Daniel or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, for me, detail's important. I can't stand the reviewer that tries to give you that. Because everybody knows, anybody that does YouTube stuff knows that first minute is crucial, and that first minute is what's going to keep you on the page or watching that video. Yeah. And I hate the guys that will use that minute to keep you there and then go into stick, and that's what I can't stand. That's when I I leave because I don't want to deal with that. Give me that same person that you were that first minute, the details about the product, and don't go into stick after you've got me for you got your algorithm. You got me for that 1 minute, which they need. They need to have that in their videos. And for me, don't go into the shtick, and then all of a sudden the quality of the video goes to shit. I didn't learn anything about the product, and to me, I can't stand that. And you don't get. I want to say you don't get that with Rip, but you kind of do. But I think for me, what keeps me there is just knowing that I can see the small details of what he's holding in his hand. And he is pretty specific about a product. I mean, and the fact that we all know by now, if all of us have been watching Rip for a long time, he's not going to review something he doesn't like.
Right.
So already before the video starts that Rip is going to praise this and maybe have some small personal details that he may not like about the product.
Yeah.
And usually it's color, material, some sort of material that's on there.
The drip tip.
The drip
Something.
tip.
Yeah, it's just stuff that's
minute.
Yeah, it's stuff that's more personal to you.
Yeah.
Like, they're nuancy things that, some people, like a lot of people slam the new Caliburn G on its drip tip because it didn't kind of have like a mouthpiece where, it could kind of rest in your lips. It was kind of rounded off. Anyway, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here. I'm just saying, it'll be those kinds of things. Whereas, like, I'm okay with the Caliburn G. Like, that particular drip tip didn't bother me that much. And I think that's where I now, I was reading Mallory's comment. I think you're right on Grimm. And Grimm's approach is that he makes it consumable for everyone. He's detailed enough, and he comes from a place of experience that he touches the experienced vapors that they can connect with that, and then he also simplifies it enough. Ruby Roo was another one. I used to watch her a ton, but yeah, Grimm, it makes it consumable for everyone. Jay is just another story altogether. He's a love him or hate him kind of person. Like, I don't think there's anybody that's kind of middle of the road on him like that. But you're right, Mallory. Not all of us can buy Jenna RDAs and stuff like that. Right. And then to Daniel's point about funny doesn't work, and I think that with Rip, being that we know what we're going to get, the whole video is going to be a comedy show, very hyped up, very energy packed review of this device. And I think that we're just all individuals. We're all different. Yeah. And it's no slight on what Rip is doing. He's done it well for a lot of years, and he has a lot of fans, and that's fantastic. I think it's great. But for me, I would much rather watch a Phil video. Tho brought up Phil Basardo. He was the one that I watched first. Yeah, I watched him first.
Shocking that he's not on the list. It's shocking that he's not. And he even changed the way he does his videos. He realized I need to shorten these up a little bit to keep people there and interested and keep coming back. And he did shorten his videos because before, I literally, honest to God, I'm not kidding, I used to get my dinner ready. Yeah. I would cook my dinner, and I would take it to my desk, and I would sit it in front of me, and I would start the Phil Basardo video because I knew I was going to go through my whole dinner before. But I'll say it again. I knew every fucking thing there was to know about that product. And I knew what to look for. I knew how to put the coils in. If RDAs were great. Him, especially mouth to lung RDAs, where you really have to know what you're doing because you're working with such a small area. Yeah. And just being off a little bit was going to ground out. And there is nothing worse than putting a mouth to lung tank together, putting it all back together, putting it on your mod, and touching that button and seeing a short. Yeah. There's nothing worse because back then we didn't have what we have today where you can leave the juice in the tank. Before, we had to drain that tank. So we used to take the top off and just hold it upside down and just watch the drip, 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 drip. Or, of course, you just opened it and spilt it all over the place. But I knew every little thing about techniques. And that's what I loved in the beginning was with Phil with Grim Green as well, and Rip, just the techniques, because they had it down. They were playing with that thing for who knows how many days or weeks before they did their reviews.
Yeah.
So they knew exactly, which screwdriver you needed, how to hold that coil in a certain position, how to screw it down, what gauge wire not to use, what gauge wire to use.
Yeah.
So I love that. And where some channels, you got that, joking around and, putting the coil in there, shorting it out. Oh, let me try it again, taking it apart. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you. What's that thing? Like some people say, it's good to see other people's mistakes so you know how not to do things.
Right.
I don't want to see mistakes while I'm watching a video that's supposed to show me whether or not I want to buy this device, too.
Well, right. And I think Luke makes a good point, too. I mean, and I think that that's probably the differential between a vape reviewer that succeeds and a vape reviewer that tends to not maybe do as well. And ultimately, if you are going to get in front of a camera and you're going to talk about a device, because you're either, I mean, I won't say that that they're there to make that company money, but they're going to they're going to make that company some money,
right?
And it behooves any vape reviewer to know everything you need to know about that device before you even hit the record button. And not just open the box and pull out the manual. I mean, we can all do that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing that we can't do. I don't know. For me, I think with Rip, I feel like right now he's definitely a great reviewer to watch if you're still kind of new in the vaping realm, and you're just maybe starting to vent. There's Daniel.
There's our guest host.
There's our co-host.
Yeah.
We have to fine him the traditional $200 for being late. But that said, I'm just saying, Rip's great for those people that are like looking for that convenient, easy device that doesn't have a whole lot of really complicated elements to it, because he doesn't do that stuff anymore. Like he doesn't do coil building tutorials, and he doesn't do mech mods, and he doesn't do all that high-end stuff. Well, I don't want to call it high-end, but that more advanced stuff that he used to do, or at least that was what was available to us at that time.
Yeah.
Now we have different reviewers for stuff like that. So, I think certain vape reviewers appeal to a certain different type of crowd. And that's really where the differential. I don't know. What's your thoughts on the matter? We'll let Daniel jump in on the.
Daniel.
He was commenting before, so I know he's tired of the carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late.
Don't worry.
I just said I like Matt because his details, he's kind of just basic. I know that sounds weird, but he just gets to the point, tells you the specifications of it, and then that's it. You know what I mean? And that's what I like. I used to like the funny stuff, but now I don't have time. Just get to the point. I used to like what was it called? Ryan Hall, but that was more of a vlog style, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But definitely Matt is my overall favorite. I don't really listen or watch Trip unless I just want to see really good quality video, because he has the best video in my opinion. Yeah. And then for drama, I love Jay Hayes. I love Jay Hayes and all that stuff that comes with it as well. So
yeah,
those are all mine.
I'd have to say that I think one thing that for me where Matt I think excels, and it does get granular at times. Matt sometimes talks about things that some of the others don't touch on either too. Like he'll go into certain measurements about things. He'll tell you like what addies will fit on it. He'll show it to you with different things on it, so you can kind of get a little visual of how that might work, whether you have overhang, measurements and some of that other kind of stuff that some of them just, they don't really, they'll focus more on a video on how the damn battery rattles too much. Okay, whatever. Like I don't stand around and shake my mod like a maraca, So, I mean, I think I probably watched 3 reviews about the Vupu X217 and everybody was harping on the fact that there was battery rattle. Now, some people, maybe that drives them insane but I don't know. I don't do that to even notice battery rattle. So, I mean, we don't have to get into that element of it. I'm okay as long as the other remaining elements of that device are strong, the chipset's good, the device is made well, It's I mean, it's easy to navigate. The menu systems aren't complicated. I mean, they're almost all the same nowadays anyway. They're all just
Yeah.
regurgitations of each other. So
Yeah, and it got to the point where you almost, like 3 or 4 years ago, it was just like you knew when the product was coming out. It was just like these guys couldn't wait. There were some of them that couldn't wait to get that video out, and then there was the ones like Matt and Grim and Rip. I put Rip into that category as well, and a few others that said, "Well, I'm going to use this device a couple days."
right.
Where there were some that were just like, boom, it was almost like they got that package that day and they opened it up and they started that review because they wanted to be first.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about those videos?
Well, those bother me, right? And I'll tell you why. Because I was looking into, I was really, still am. I just haven't bought it. It's probably hard for me to get anymore. But I really wanted that Thunderhead Creations, that MTL that they put out not that long ago. And I wanted to watch some reviews on it. Phil did one on it where his intro or his catch line on it is like, "You're gonna hate this device." We lost Daniel. He goes, "You're going to hate this device." But then, like, when he comes on, he's like, "Well, you're either going to hate this device or you're going to love this device." But the interesting part to me is I had watched another video that I believe, I want to say maybe Mike Vapes did it, and he kept talking about this component of it, because if you've ever seen that MTL tank, there's like it has like a metal decorative casing that goes around the glass, and then it's kind of got like Swiss cheese holes in it. It's more of a design element than it is a functional element to the tank. It doesn't do anything for you to make it better or worse. But Mike was like, "I can't get the glass out, so you guys are going to have to get used to the idea that you can't get that if your glass breaks, or you want to get the glass out to clean it, because a lot of us like to completely disassemble the tank and clean everything as an individual component." He's like, "I haven't found a way where you can get the glass out." Went over to Phil's video, and all he did was he took one of his little 3mm screwdrivers and stuck it through one of the Swiss cheese holes and pressed down on the top of the glass, and the glass popped right out. And that's what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that Mike isn't detailed. I love Mike Vape's review videos. I watch him religiously as somebody I would always turn to. But I feel like in that case, he may have been a little quick to the punch to be first, to get it out there, and didn't really look into, how you could get that glass out. And so then here we are as vape watchers, going back to his video and typing out in the comments, "All you got to do is take a little 3mm screwdriver and stick it in there right above the where the cap is, and you can press it down." So yeah, I don't know. I am always reluctant when the first video comes out.
Well,
I figure there's something getting missed.
Becky was asking for alcohol, drinks, wines,
what I don't like is, how are you going to have a pod system or a sub-ohm tank and tell me the longevity of it? You don't have a single clue. You know what I mean? So RDAs make sense. Even a mod makes sense. But like sub-ohm tanks, pod systems, that makes no sense. How are you going to tell me how good it is? You will know in about a week how good it is. You know what I mean?
And
especially the coils.
Yeah, and I think the long time vapors know this, because we probably have been ones to run out and buy them, and then we know after doing it several times that you don't tell me the coil's awesome until after it dies 3 days later and you're throwing it in the trash. Like, let me know in like a week or to 10 days like how well that performed, because all you're getting with a vapor viewer at that point is how that experience is right out the gate. Now, some of them will go, "Well, I've been using this for a week." Okay, but you have to take into consideration too that they have 300 other devices that they probably bounce around with in between during their day, and they're not using that device exclusively for a week. So that coil might last them longer or whatever.
Well, don't they now? I don't know if it applies to vaping stuff, but like YouTube has an embargo agreement with some of these guys that are reviewing other products. Like I don't know, some like, let's just say I'm trying to name one of the reviewers, the Apple guy that does all the Apple stuff, but he can't review something until a certain date, so he'll get the product. But some embargo agreement that's put on YouTube where that reviewer can't actually review that product on his channel for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. I was just
So they have to have a physical gap between the date they receive it and when they can actually review it,
review it. Yeah,
regardless of whether or not it's on the market or not.
no, regardless of whether it's on the market or not. Yeah. So
And why is that?
I don't know. It's called an embargo agreement because I've heard every one of them talk about it. MK something. What's that guy that does all the tech stuff? He's big.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he says it all the time. I got the iPhone last week, but because of the embargo agreement, I couldn't review it. But he had it for so many days, and then he can go ahead and post a video. So
True.
yeah, it's just weird. Go ahead, Daniel.
Can I say something? The best thing about Mike Vapes, in my opinion, is finding out the flavor of the device. I think he is the most authentic and realistic and honest, where everyone's always like pretty good or whatever. He has a scale and he's really accurate with it. In my opinion.
Do you like the point system? Would you rather have the thumbs up, thumbs down, 1 to 5? It's good, it's bad, it's okay. Which one would you rather have as a viewer?
On my channel, I had a point system out of 0 to 10 on my channel.
Yeah.
I like that, but at the same time, I just want to hear. Like, I want to hear, is it very flavorful? Is it dense? Is it light? Is it big hits, little hits? I just want to hear details and a scale. Both will be fine.
Yeah, but do you think that, Daniel, that's part and parcel with the idea and maybe the difference between somebody who has only been vaping for a short period of time, say maybe a year. Let's just even say a year, give it a year. And then you who've been vaping for a much longer period of time and have had time to really kind of understand the nuances of a device and what little factors can make a big difference in the end. Do you think that, can you compare yourself now and the statement you just made to say, like, when you were first, like, on the internet just trying to get reviews about things, like, you couldn't possibly at that moment in time know all the little details of a device.
Right.
Yeah. At the beginning, I'll be honest, the two that I watched the most was Indoor and Rip, because they were the most accessible and they were the most layman terms.
Right.
But when I first started, I watched a lot of videos that taught me the lingo and all that. So I was kind of ahead. But my main thing was there was so many devices that I didn't know what to get. So it was just a lot of stress, in my opinion. Whereas now it's like, I don't want that. I want that. I don't want that. I want that. Back then I was like, I have no clue what I want.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was,
I
it was
agree.
tough. It was tough in the beginning, man. There was just stuff coming out all the time, and you almost got to the point where you started realizing who does what. And what I mean by that is you knew who was doing smock stuff. You knew there were certain people that were doing Vupu stuff. You knew there were certain people that did Wismec stuff, and then there was the bunch that did everything. But you kind of knew that guy became the Wismec guy. That guy became the smock guy. That guy became the mech guy. So it was kind of nice there in the beginning. But now, the way it's set up now, it's just like everybody has everything. You still have the true mech guys that are out there, and you're not going to see a pod system on their channel. You're not going to even see one of these on their channel. You're always going to see some sort of mech mod. But yeah, I kind of like the point system myself too, Daniel. I want to see that. I don't want to see a thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't want to see good, okay, bad. I want to see that scale. So to me, 10 of course is going to get me to buy it. 7, 8, maybe, and 6 is like, well, I don't know, but anything below 6, I'm not buying. But,
Well, what about Deuce's Jack? Like, he has a ranking system. Like, basically, like I think his reviews are extremely detailed. Mm-hmm. I think that he's really good on the nuancy stuff, and then he has that scoring system at the end to kind of give you a baseline about where he would put it in realistic terms. As far as he's another one that actually has some kind of a visual scale that you can see where he gives it a particular rating, and I take his word at value. I mean, I don't think he doesn't steer people wrong.
The thing with Phil is you got to remember he doesn't do a lot of the mainstream stuff, so you're going to get. You're going to get a specific product from Phil, and Phil knows he's catering to the people that are watching his channel, and probably 80% of those people are MTL guys. So he's catering to those. So unless you're actually looking for an MTL device, you're not going to find, you're not going to. Did he even review the top side or anything like that? I don't think
I've never really seen.
I've
I mean,
yeah,
he probably is doing reviewing some of
maybe
his
an
own
80,
Anakin stuff.
yeah, maybe an 80-watt stuff. Maybe something that gets up to about 80 watts you might see on Phil's channel.
Well, to me, Phil is like he's the cigar smoker in the ocean of cigarette smokers. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy over there with the cognac and the stogie hanging out of his mouth. You know what I mean? And so he's
vapes
definitely
like
the 50-year-old scotch and a
Yeah.
cigar.
Right. And so he's going to be the golf course vape reviewer. You know what I mean? He's the country club guy. You know what I mean? And so he knows where his audience is because he's just he's talking to a. I don't want to use terms to differentiate people. I'm saying, but he knows he's going for a little bit more of a higher class, crowd that's going to be looking for. I don't want to say higher end devices, but the finer tastes in the vape world. The people that are willing to go into the rebuildables that are looking for a specific type of vape. Whereas like now, Rip is more like the fun, whimsical kind of stuff that kind of hits the market, the Vapex and all that, stuff that everybody's...
It also comes down to who's going to pay that Rip Tripper's fee.
Well, right. But I think most of us kind of cast that part to the side. Yeah. But he's definitely a little bit different in terms of the devices he picks up and guns for to push around, because those are the mass marketed things that they make thousands of them, and they know they're going to sell a lot of units hand over fist at a reasonable price that aren't too out of your price range to even get into vaping. So
and they know they're going to get the views. They're going to get the views on Rip's page. Everybody out there kind of curious, put it in the chat though. Who was the first guy you watched? Kind of curious. Who was that first YouTube reviewer you watched?
And most of them are still around though. Like even if the names we'll call out, they're still there. I mean, there might have been a few that kind of came and went, or just weren't as impactful as others. But most of the big hitters are still there.
Indoor for me, and then was Phil. I went from indoors to Phil. Indoors, I loved it. But it got to the point where I really had to focus. Because he was, it was just like, and then of course I gradually moved out of that, that starter kit style device into something a little bit bigger, and I got that from Phil's, but then from Phil to Rip, and then Rip Green for me. Those were my first ones, and I still watch all of them. Well, Rip
You know who's really good that we have forgotten about, and she was probably my second or third video. Well, I already spoiled it saying she, but Sophie Vapes is like the female version of Matt. Yeah,
she's
like
on
she
the
is
list. Yeah,
legit.
Yeah,
and she's got the
she's
voice.
Still there.
Oh yeah,
she's still there. I mean, but she does. I don't think she does as much of the RDAs, RTAs, and stuff like that. It seems like most of her reviews are pods and open tank pod systems, or whatever you want to call them, AIOs.
Zophie's number 3. Number 3. So she's
still uber popular.
Yeah,
who was the top 3? So it has to be Rip, and then Sophie's 3. Who was second?
Indoor.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, and Grimm's 4.
Yeah, so the mainstays are still up there.
Yeah, they're still up there. I mean, Dash passing up Twisted is kind of amazing, because Twisted, he kind of jumps around on his channel, right? Is he still doing that?
He was doing drones for a while, and he was doing his car stuff for a while, and then he would...
I'm shocked Bogan's not on that list.
Oof,
That's the one that shocks me. That Bogan did not make that top 10 list, which is just shocking.
So what was the top 10 list consistent of? Subscribers?
Yeah, views and subscribers, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's views. Views still count it. So it was, Rip's getting the views.
The problem is Bogan does a lot of high-end and unique and devices that Americans don't get. So, and he's the mech guy.
That's true.
Yeah.
That he is the mech guy because yeah, you don't have. If you really look at that list, there are no mech guys on that list at all. I mean, who I'm trying to think of the mech guys right now off the top of my head, and Mike,
You got Todd reviews. You
Todd.
got
Yeah, where Todd's
Jay
not on
Hay.
there. Jay Hay.
You got Bogan. You got Grim. Jesus, who am I forgetting? Legion Vapes and or Vaping Legion.
Vaping Legion. What's his name too as well? He's been a guest on my show a couple of times.
Vaping Biker.
Yeah,
yeah,
he was
he's
one
not
of
on.
them.
Yeah, he's on them.
All the UK people out there.
Yeah.
So Vaping with Vic. Vaping with Vic is one of my favorites. If you want a good, thorough 20-minute video, I mean, it's long. Vic does it from top to bottom.
Yeah,
Gives
he
you
does.
history. I love Vic. And he's a good guy, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember Convicted Vapes? Remember those guys? I think they were mostly juice reviews, though. I don't think they did a whole ton of
Yeah.
hardware. They were. I think they were
Yeah.
mostly e-liquids.
Yeah, Grim and Phil I think I want to say Grim started before Phil, and then Phil came on after Grim did.
What's the one female vape reviewer? She's a
Kimmy?
big Steam Crave fan.
Kimmy?
Oh,
Kim Smith?
No,
oh.
what's her name?
God
Brunette, and she's a big
Yeah,
Steam Crave
yeah.
fan. Massive Steam Crave fan. I can't think of her name
I'm
right now.
picturing the
And she
headphones.
always has like the really colorful nails and stuff. Like I'm like, how do you even open the box with the nails like out
Oh.
there?
and the funny headphones, like what Madison bought with the ear with the with the monkey.
Yeah, I just can't think of her name. And
Wendy,
she lost
Wendy.
Wendy
Yeah.
Vapes. Yeah, so she was another one. And when I kind of was going through my Steam Crave roll, I would watch a lot of her videos because she's really schooled on those devices. Like she knows them like the back of her hand. So I would watch her for that. You know what I mean?
And she's
What I
a
like-
DIYer
Yeah,
as well.
she's a
Fun
DIYer.
fact.
And what I liked about her, there were no 2 days later videos on mistakes that she made in the video on her channel. That was starting to get really out of hand, where they would come back, they would do the review, then 2 days later upload another video apologizing for the mistakes they made while reviewing the product. And I'm thinking to myself, and that was what's her name. And I felt bad for her, but she was the one that was partnered with Indoor Smokers. She was blonde.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember.
Yeah, she
her very well.
constantly made a lot of mistakes on her videos, and then 2 days later she would post a rebuttal.
corrected video.
Yeah, I fucked up. It's this and that, and I can't remember her name, but
But now they just edit that stuff in. Like they'll be like, "Oops, I said the wrong." It'll be like a flashing graphic that says "meant to say whatever."
Yeah.
So they people get around that. But I think the reviewers have gotten really, really good at what they do, and they've figured out systems so that they make sure that they don't do that anymore. It's just a little thing here or a little thing there that they tend to overlook or maybe don't talk about, or they. Now here's another thing too, and here's
Tia Vapes. Tia
Vape. And here there's another thing that I think sometimes gets overlooked too, and maybe because it's not such a popular thing anymore. But one element of videos that I see go completely bypassed, they brush over it, is when they start getting into the chipsets and they go into the details of the menu setups and stuff like that. And they'll spend more time focusing on how you can change the color of the screen, or whether or not you can flip the screen, or and those are all aesthetical things that are more personal to you. If you want your purple screen or your blue screen or your green, what's up, Kiki?
Yeah, Kiki.
I hope I said that right, Kiki.
Yeah,
I don't want to say
that's
Kiki.
how I
That's probably wrong.
Yeah.
But like. And I know it's not a popular thing, so don't think that I'm like, bashing the table and crying the blues here. I'm just saying, like, they'll go like, oh, and here's the temperature control settings. You can do nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. And like, that's one thing that they don't actually ever do in the video. Like, I know that most people are going to be power just wattage vapors.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Like, there's not a lot of people are going to go to TC control, especially when you're talking about like a kit system where it comes with a sub-ohm tank and you're using mesh coils. You're not even going to touch that. But I'm just saying, like, there are devices where they're doing the mod, just the mod. That's the focus of the video. And in the end, they're throwing an atomizer on it, like an RTA or an RDA or something like that. And you could theoretically maybe dedicate one of those reviews to just really kind of talking about the temperature control elements of it, and how well it performs in temperature control. Is it responsive? Is it regulating DJ LSB that Daniel he'll do that stuff.
Yeah, and
because
Phil did that too. Phil gave you nice screenshots of changing the temperature, moving the gauges, doing all that. So Phil gave you that, but again. Right. MTL people, I want to put something quick. I just had an idea; it just flashed in my head, and I'm going to put our email address down there. But we would love to give an opportunity to an upcoming YouTube vape reviewer an opportunity to come on the show. Email us if you know somebody to be interested in doing it. Email us as well, their name or contact information. We'd love to have them come on and maybe we can help them out. It'd be just kind of cool to see somebody up and coming. Maybe somebody. Let's see, what should we keep it below, Tim? Subscribers. Like
I'm trying to catch on to where you're going with all this.
Like a less than 500 subscribers.
Oh, you mean we as non-vape reviewers, as consumers, we're going to offer advice to the people that are trying to build their channel?
We want them to come on and promote their channel. So
I'm all for it. Like this Daniel, is a community.
The vape man.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, we're talking to him right. Man. Yeah, we're talking to him right now.
We'll give you an opportunity as well. Yeah, we'll give you. But what should we keep it under? Under 5,000 subscribers?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
5,000.
No, do 1,000. Because they don't get paid until 1,000 anyway.
Okay, all right.
So let's do that and have. I mean, it's a community show. It's all about pulling every different facet of the industry together. I mean, we're all about vaping. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's help promote somebody.
Yeah. So
get their name and their face out there a little bit more.
If you are interested in doing that, there's the email for our page. And if you know a reviewer that would want to do it, also email us. Let us know. We'd love to have them on and give them a chance to plug their show. And maybe would be fun. They could actually review a product on our show.
Hey, why not? Like a live review of something that they've just got sitting on their desk that they haven't. Well, I mean, I don't want to kill like their premiere video that they really want to do, but like maybe something that they're like, I don't know if I'm going to review that, but
Chasing Clouds got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, Chasing Clouds. Email us and. We'll if we can squeeze in a bunch of you, we'll squeeze in a bunch of you.
We got enough rectangles on the screen. I think we could probably get a few.
Yeah, well, we'll bring you in a little bit.
But that's one thing that we haven't had, though, right? I mean, if you think about it, we've had juice companies on, we've had manufacturers on, we've had advocacy people on, we've had vape models and small industry, advocates and stuff like that. But I don't think we've ever had. Well, no, DJ Daniel's been on the show. DJ LSB,
he's big.
He's big. Yeah, so he's already.
Tim got frozen.
No more taps.
Everybody screenshot this. No. Yeah, so we'd love to give somebody. There, oh, you go. You back?
No, I'm good. I'm back.
I'm
back. Yeah. Everybody started moving again. It's okay.
The aliens came and took your body for a few seconds.
And I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not looking at another page or anything like that. I mean, it just froze. So we're good.
Yeah. Even if you're multiple, just email us at Wednesday Night Live Show at gmail.com. Let us know. The show is always on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so depending on your area. But we'd love to give you, like Tim says, this is a community show. We love to talk about everything about the community, whether it's e-liquid manufacturers, distributors, vape channel reviewers, models, IG promoters, upside down people, whatever.
Yeah, it's all about the fact that we're bound and determined to not see vaping ever disappear from the face of this planet, and so it's all about pulling the community together.
Yeah, email us and we will set it all up for let's do it next week. We can do it next week.
Sure.
Next week. All right, hey, this is the part we are going to jump into Tim's news and advocacy.
Maya.
Uh-oh. Tim is going to break out into music.
No, I'm not. I was just remembering that viral video from many years ago.
Yeah,
Anyhow.
let me get your bumper up there, Timmy.
Oh,
Tap, 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 tap.
tapping those papers, folks. It's the time for the news. I don't. Hold on, Daniel. Confused me. You're showing me a menu. What did you have in your hand? You were grabbing papers. I understand now. I've created a trend. Now everybody's got to have papers. And I should probably have like my own shirt made, like a merch shirt. I'd tap that with like papers or something.
Ooh, I like
I
that.
came up with a marketing idea right there. I'd tap that, Swifty in the news or something on the back or whatever. Who knows? So I got 3 for you again. I'm consistent with 3, and I did find some advocacy all the way there at the end. So let me go ahead and bring the first one up. I don't really have anything negative to talk about tonight, which is kind of good. But let me share my screen. Share screen. Visuals. Okay, there we go, John.
Gotcha.
All right. Cool beans. All right, so we're going to talk about this one. This one tends to walk a little bit out of the vape space, but I think that it's part of the landscape as we're seeing it in today's day and age, especially with a lot of states locking down really hard and imposing flavor bans, vaping bans in general. Even in the scope of the framework where you can't even vape in your own apartment anymore, right? You live in those close quarter dwelling type situations. Products are still going to find their way out onto the market, right? Everybody's got to switch to something. So we always typically talk about the 2 arguments that are most prevalent, and that would be that if vaping is taken away from me, I'm going to go back to smoking. And then we also know that like big tobacco and companies like that are coming out with the IQOS devices, which are supposed to be better for you than smoking with the heat not burn delivery systems. And now, and snus was kind of a popular thing, but that kind of ventures off into the tobacco realm because it's kind of it's a powderized tobacco, effectively, is what snus is, but it's not really tobacco. But that's the delivery system. So you kind of snort it, right? So everybody looks like they got a coke habit when you're doing snus, or they're in pouches. I think snus also comes in pouches as well. Now there's this new thing that's hitting the market now, and I think that these were kind of prevalent. I want to say, at least I remember seeing these some time ago. There was products like Velo and some other ones. These nicotine pouch systems that are coming out. And so this was I thought it was an interesting article because they kind of raise a really interesting point. Are products like Zyn, these nicotine pouches, are they going to be the next Juul, right? Because one of the bigger arguments around the youth and the vaping and stuff like that is A, flavors, and then B, really the concept of vaping devices and what they use to vape on, which is smaller, concealable, devices that they can kind of tuck in a backpack or in their pocket and then run off, to the bathroom and go vaping. So this is one of the, you may have seen these, you may not have seen these. So if you're only seeing these for the first time right now, welcome to your introduction on the world of nicotine pouches. This is a really long article, so I'm not going to go into all the different elements about it. I just kind of wanted to talk about this and then pose the question, right? So they're calling this high tech. I don't know exactly how high tech it is, but it's just basically another methodology for getting nicotine delivery to people in the form of tobacco harm reduction. In fact, it is tobacco harm reduction, right? Because it's not carcinogenic, and it's also it doesn't contain tobacco. All right, so. But nicotine in our world gets lumped in with tobacco. They call it a tobacco product because nicotine is extracted from the tobacco plant. So this is different. So we'll get into why it is more high tech and why it doesn't actually contain any tobacco elements to it. But this is just an innovation that's come out in the last, I want to say, less than a year. It kind of started to hit the market. As a matter of fact, the product that you're looking at right there, Zyn, is owned by a Swedish company. But it is getting U.S. distribution, and now C-stores in different places are starting to carry it. But this is the latest offering. It doesn't contain any actual tobacco or any notable carcinogens. However, nicotine pouches, they are in play. So what these are, looking at, it's a pouch that goes between your lip and your gum, and basically it's like a cross between a nicotine gum and like a dipping tobacco. I'm sorry for the flashing graphics. That part I can't get rid of, but it's distracting. I had a hard time reading the article because it would keep scrolling. But it's like a dipping tobacco mechanism. So where these are popular now, or at least where they're starting to take off more predominantly, is in areas like San Francisco or other counties within states where they've installed flavor bans, or where you can't vape in your own apartment and stuff like that. So this is another way for people to get their nicotine delivery if they have a flavor ban and stuff like that. Now, I think these might come in some form of flavors. But the key difference with these things, though, is that they use a synthetic nicotine, and it's inside that pouch with a material or a product that's consistent with like chewing gum, like powderized chewing gum. So, according to the latest industry data and anecdotal accounts from local smoke shops and C-stores, they claim that this product is taking off quite quickly. It's actually gaining popularity. Indications point to nicotine pouches being much safer than cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and possibly even e-cigarettes. That's the claim that's being made. But in the terminology, if you listen to what they're saying, is they're not really sure if these are any safer than vaping, because vaping really hasn't been proven to be extremely harmful in its own right. So they don't know if these are going to be better for it, because it's a little bit, they're not actually using VG and PG and flavorings and stuff like that. So this is synthetic nicotine. Well, it has to have flavor in it, right? Mint, menthol. I think the Velos, I think I saw like lemon and orange and a bunch of other different flavors that were out there. So the risk here is that while they're viewed as a potential tobacco harm reduction tool, they could also be attractive to kids and otherwise novices feeding a nicotine addiction, right? So people who maybe were on to vaping, I could certainly see this if kids could get their hands on it and they were addicted to nicotine, or it was a nicotine, they were chasing a buzz. Now, those are 6 milligram, right? So these aren't like 24, 36, and 50, which I think is what the kids go after because it gets them a buzz. But what they did point out about this particular product is that they only recommend that you keep this in your mouth for about up to an hour. I guess probably by the time an hour's over, you will have probably expended the nicotine content in the pouch. But they say that for novice users or beginners or people that are just picking these up for the first time and you're not really well adjusted to vaping or nicotine in general, no matter what your level you're at, that you have, because there's no toxicants in this, and it's synthetic nicotine, that you don't have to spit. Okay, so you don't need the dip bottle. You don't need your 16, your 8-ounce, water bottle by your side to fill up with all your backwash and your spit. Basically, I think what they're trying to claim is that you can just go ahead and swallow like normal. If you get the saliva in your mouth. But they say for people that are just getting started and mixed into this crowd and are trying these things for the first time, there is a potential for people who aren't adjusted to get nick sick. Or getting to the point where they might want to get sick and throw up because it's just too much. Because it will send you for a bit of a jolt because the delivery system is much quicker. So it's actually absorbing into your body between your gum and your lip, right? And so that's kind of like why people enjoy the dip, because they get a big old fat dip in there, that Kodiak, and then they just get that instantaneous buzz.
It's instant,
yeah, so it's pretty darn quick. It is important to note, I'll read this comment by this one guy. His name is Benjamin Chaffee. He's a tobacco researcher. I'm not sure out of where. I don't know if they pointed it out in the article. He said there's quite a bit we don't know about nicotine separate from cigarette smoke. The assumption is it will be much less harmful, but how much less harmful is still an active debate. So he's not necessarily against these particular products, But he is sort of playing cautious and saying that, it's easy to say that these will be better for you than smoking. I think that's a safe one to assume because nothing burns here at all. But in the end, they don't know the long-term effects of people using these over a longer period of time because they're just that new. They're not FDA approved, which is not shocking. These things have not been subjected to the PMTA process at all. At least as far as how they talked about them, they're not. They have not been subjected to the same rigorous PMTA process like e-liquid and the vaping devices that we're having to deal with now. These basically hit the market, and because they use a synthetic nicotine, I don't know if it's just the word nicotine in general, but I guess it's fallen out of the scope of the FDA, and so they don't really have a proper way of regulating it or processing it or dealing with it at this particular time. Nicotine pouch, yeah, I said that. Not approved by the FDA, and they have not gone through the regulatory process. So what I was talking about before, this is the word. This is when you put something in your mouth and you are consuming nicotine in this fashion. It's called sublabial. Tobacco ingestion is the absorption of the product through the lips and gums. The juice that is absorbed through these pouches is non-toxic, so there's no need to spit. There's several other ones on the market. You guys may have seen them. Can anybody comment in the chat whether or not you tried these things? If you actually picked up a tin of them, and you have, okay. Maybe you can comment after I'm done with. I've only got a couple more points because I didn't want to go on and on and on about this. Other products that are out there now are Velo, Drift, Rogue, and one called On with an exclamation point. Lost my place. Apparently, the recommended usage time is 1 hour for acclimated users. They recommend taking it out sooner if you're not used to them to avoid getting nic sick. It's estimated that the nicotine pouches that are on the market now make up only about 6% of the entire tobacco industry. So what they don't know right now is how well these will actually do in the long run. They have no. There was some stuff that came out a long time ago that I think was supposed to be kind of like the next greatest thing since sliced bread, but it was a big flop. So they don't know what the longevity of these particular products are going to be, although it is noted that they are on the rise and becoming more and more popular, especially in places where there's vaping bans and smoking bans in particular areas. Chaffee commented that in order for vapes or pouches to be a force for good, two things has to happen. One, they have to get past the PMTA process and be regulated by the FDA so that we can start saying that they're better and safer for you. That's one. We've got to get over that hurdle. And then if they do get to that point, then you have to make cigarettes less accessible in order for these to be a success.
Right.
So don't offer cigarettes more readily available. Make these presiding over top of that. So I'm going to stop that. If you guys want to read that, that was on sfweekly.com. John, I'll send you the links. You can post them in the chat once we get off the topic.
I've never seen those. I don't look at the cigarette section anymore when I go into the store, but God, I'm trying to remember if I've seen any of those pouch style stuff in the stores.
I remember seeing ads for Velo and stuff when we were kind of still, I wouldn't say in the early stages of people really kind of going ape shit over e-liquid and flavors marketed to kids and all this stuff, and then you saw this stuff in an ad and they had like 5 different flavors on them, and I'm like, okay, so nobody's batting an eye at this stuff, but vaping is getting all the focus. So we're still kind of in this. So my takeaways were: will nicotine pouches be a success or failure? Question mark. Will nicotine pouches be the next trend for the youth and a possible gateway to smoking? So real quick, Daniel, what was your experience with those? Enjoyed them? Didn't enjoy them? Were they worth it?
So I had some that was similar back when I smoked. It was basically the same thing. You didn't have to spit. Right. It tasted okay. It didn't last long. It wasn't that satisfying compared to a cigarette or vaping. But I definitely think it's a good option for some people.
Right.
But there's no way it's good for your mouth. I just can't fathom it being good for your teeth, your gums, and all that.
And that's something they mentioned in the article, is that they don't really know what the dental impacts on things like this, because they say that the constant, like, especially if this is something you were dropping one in every hour or something like that, burning up a canister, it could alter the bacterial flora in your mouth and cause you to have gum disease. But these are all things they don't know, and more studies will have to be done to see what the long-term impacts are.
Well, I didn't catch most of that. I had to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Life calls. But do you feel the edge coming off when you dip one of those in your mouth? You know what I'm talking about? You know that edge that you get?
Yeah, you do.
You do?
When I first started using it, I was, a pack and a half a day, and you would get a little buzz, and it would.
Well, I'm not talking about the buzz, because you should get a buzz from all that stuff. But I'm just talking about, did you feel like that edge came off? Like you didn't want to kill anyone? That edge.
I compare it to tantric sex. You're having fun, but it's not as good as it could be.
Right.
Okay.
So
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
in closing, would you say that this could be used as a viable tobacco harm reduction method? And I mean, to get somebody to completely quit smoking, or do you think vaping would still take the title in terms of being an active quit?
Yeah. Vaping's number one, but this is a really good method for people who chew.
Yeah, this is good too for, like he's saying, for people that are flying across where you can't have your vape, and you could just put that in your mouth before you get on the plane. And
well, I'm just going by the nicotine strength in that.
What is the strength? I missed it.
Well, the can says 6 milligram. Feel free to look these things up and see if they have different nicotine strengths. I'm not quite sure. It's a nic salt, obviously, like a synthetic type of nicotine.
So that's like 70.
Well, the whole thing, though, is I don't know what the release is like in a pouch like this, and I don't know how relevant it is to what you get in the delivery of a cigarette at 24 milligram nicotine in a cancer stick. So if somebody knows, me personally,
I don't know.
If they drop flavors on these things and they're this type of system, the kids are going to eat these things up. The kids are just going to look at them like they're friggin' chiclets. You know what I mean? They're going
to. So you don't have to. If you're not spitting, they have to have.
You're swallowing.
You're swallowing.
Well, this says chill, so I'm going to guess it's like a mint or a menthol flavor.
Okay.
So it does have a flavor that's attractive. Now, granted, the label's pretty boring. It's not really going to.
Good, no, that's the way it should be.
It doesn't look like Skittles or something like that. But what I'm saying is, as you start to take away the things that they claim are the issue, and now you've got these kids that are quote unquote into these nicotine addictions, and these are small, concealable, convenient. I can throw it in my mouth. I can sit in class and still get my nicotine buzz without having to run off to the bathroom and conceal it even more. So that's my final point on that one.
Yeah.
But interesting to see what happens with these particular products as they are now on the market and becoming more prevalent in America. All right, the next one I kind of affectionately call "This is why we can't have nice things," and I'm talking about America. And the government and Bloomberg and all that. All right. So this is a company called VPZ. This is a UK-based company. So I'm sorry to all us Yankees over here who have to deal with the crooked politicians and the master tobacco settlement agreement. But there is a vaping company over in the UK they're called VPZ. I don't really know what VPZ vaping zone I think is kind of like what I think it's supposed to stand for. They're an online vape shop, but they are now starting to get storefront presence, and they have 5 stores as far as I can tell based on the article. However, what they're introducing to the market, this would be brilliant. It would be great if we could have things like this, but we can't. They actually are introducing what's called vape clinics into their vape shops. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to pull in people who are going to be trained to effectively be people focused on helping people quit. Not just the average vape store employee behind the counter, selling stuff. And I'm not harping on vape shop employees, but I'm saying, but sometimes you get into those situations and they're just trying to sell you the latest, greatest device. They may not ask all the right questions to help you quit smoking. You're the smoker that's trying to finally break free, your avenue is to walk into a vape shop, or you take that risk to go into the vape shop, and you might not have someone that's specifically designated to help figure out who you are, where you're at, and what you need in order to really effectively quit smoking. So, but yeah, they call them vape clinic. That's really what they are.
Brilliant.
Yeah, then they're inside these vape shops. So I mean, they work in harmony with the standard vape shop employees and the vape shop experiences. But they call them a clinic. So on July 5th, VPZ launched its pilot vape clinic at their flagship Newbridge store. And according to the short term, in the coming months, they plan to put a vape clinic in all of their storefront locations. The service was started, and this is why they started doing it, is due to the COVID lockdown. So basically, I guess in the UK, they have a lot of, or had a lot of avenues for people to go find quit smoking services, which obviously help them to be given vape devices and things to help them transition, because I mean, hell, they have vape shops basically inside hospitals in the UK to get people off of smoking. But when COVID hit and everything went on lockdown, a lot of those stop smoking services and vape retailers had to shut down because they just couldn't, they weren't viewed as essential businesses, which is strange to me in the UK.
Yeah.
You would think that they would be viewed as that. But I guess because they couldn't keep their overhead was too much and they couldn't maintain these locations, they had to shut them all down. So they're deciding to sort of backfill that vacuum and now open up these vape clinics. So they're going to have these people, like the guy in the mask. I'm pointing, and I'm pointing to my screen over here. But anyway, the guy in the mask over there behind the counter, he's actually called a quit coach. And that's what his job is. That's their catchy corporate term, is a quit coach. And they'll be specialists that help people quit smoking by educating customers on alternatives. So basically, they're going to give people different options to take a look at. Probably, do a little bit more in-depth question Q&A to try to find out where that person is, how much they're smoking, and give them what they feel is the most reasonable device to kind of help match where they're at and to help them effectively quit.
Their lifestyle, everything. I bet you they ask them everything. What kind of work you do.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, and they didn't go into the details of what their training regiment is, but VPZ is pretty confident in that this will be a successful program because they do offer a money-back guarantee for hardware purchased and unopened bottles of e-liquids and coils if they are unable to successfully make the switch from smoking to vaping. Now, that doesn't mean that the person failed at vaping and that's it, they're just going to go back to smoking. Maybe vaping didn't work for them and they're going to try some other kind of tobacco harm, some NRT therapy or counseling or cold turkey, or maybe they go back to smoking. But they are going to give a money back guarantee to people who are unsuccessful based on that criteria. As opposed to America, 78,000 people die every year in the UK from smoking-related illnesses. So that's really their target. That's really the market that they want to hit. They want to try to lower that number significantly. Said that the coaches are trained and have expert knowledge and work to the individual needs of the customer. As well, many of the coaches are former smokers who have quit using vaping and are positioned to understand the ups and downs of the journey, so they can relate. Right? These are not just going to be people off the street, not all of them anyway. They're going to be people that were smokers, transition to vaping, and they understand what they had to personally go through in order to be successful with vaping. Smoking statistics are continuing to rise in the UK as the pandemic has triggered an increase in smoking rates, and that's compounded by the funding cuts for the National Health Services, Stop Smoking, and local support group services. So people that don't know how to go or where to go to help quit smoking, they're not funding those programs anymore. This is their response, that they're going to backfill that. So this is completely paid for by the company. This is a program they started all on their own. They're not getting government money to do this kind of stuff. The vape clinic is open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. in the morning till 5 p.m. at night. And customers, anybody can come in and do it, but you got to book a 30-minute appointment. So that's really the catch there. So you basically do get a personal. It's not like walking in and you got 30 people all wanting stuff over the counter, and you're kind of jockeying for space and somebody's time. You're going to get that person's time for 30 minutes
Nice.
to be completely focused on you on the other side of the table. So I think it's a great program. My takeaway was I said thanks to money grubbing politicians, Bloomberg, and the FDA. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
I think this is a brilliant investment by a vaping company, and that's why shops exist and have a mission of getting people off of cigarettes. So kudos to vape shops.
Yeah. That's,
Anyway.
that is brilliant. I mean, that's what I don't get. I mean, with social media the way it is today, maybe 25 years ago, something like this we'd never hear of it. We'd never hear of it. So it just blows me away that they're doing this. And people here don't see this and say to themselves, okay, why are they doing this when we think it's doing this bad stuff? But yet you got a whole country that's saying we're going to do it this way because it's working and it's cleaner, it's healthier, and we're going to save lives. How come people in America don't see that, especially with social media?
Well, because
Just
basically,
brainwashed.
well, negative media bias played heavily into it. Obviously the politicians and their crusade against, to save the kids and all this other stuff. They don't.
They had the kid numbers there. They had the low kid numbers there, which is amazing.
Right, but here's the key difference, and I'm not saying America is ever going to get to this point or this will actually make the difference, but I think one of the big key factors is the difference in the health systems themselves.
Right.
Here, it's a private system, and they want people sick and addicted because otherwise they're not going to get the money coming in, and the pharmaceutical companies won't make their billions of dollars and all that other stuff, and the doctors won't make their money.
Yep.
You get it. Yep. Over here, it's a public health system, and they're more encouraged to improve the health of their country. Because they don't, the people are paying. The people are paying for people to get better, right? So that's really the bottom line. So at any rate, I think wouldn't it be awesome if we could ever get to a day where some things like this could start popping up? I mean, these could be satellite type locations, just called vape clinics. That are basically advertised as places where you can book an appointment. You're interested in quitting smoking. You walk in and you get a one-on-one sit-down, consultation with someone who's experienced in vaping and is going to help you find the right product.
Yeah,
anyway,
it'd be even nice if they don't even have to be associated with a vape shop. It's just a place to go. Just like
that's what I meant, like a satellite location that's just called Vape Clinic, and it's not a vape shop. Yeah. It's maybe a little bit more homogenized and clinical looking like this.
Like an AA meeting.
Well, no. But I mean, you walk in and you have an appointment, like you're going to get your hair cut, and you go sit down with a consultant who basically helps. Because I think that's intimidation is another element of why people don't typically find a way to switch to vaping, because they just don't know anything about it, and vape shops might seem intimidating. It's typically a younger person's environment, not always, but a lot of the time it's a younger person's environment, and someone who's older, maybe in their 50s or their 60s, that's finally ready to make that jump, won't walk into a vape shop because they just don't feel like they're walking into a foreign location where they're not going to know the lingo and they don't know what kind of. But if you said, hey, I've got this place, you book an appointment. It's somebody who's a former smoker and vapor, or potentially somebody who quit vaping too, is going to sit down with you for 30 minutes. They're going to analyze by asking a bunch of questions, and they're going to help you find the right device, right nicotine strength, and everything to help you start your journey. I think it would be brilliant.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love the fact that I kind of do this already.
Right.
Each first off, I guess I'm like a grandpa for a vape shop worker, you know what I mean? But each customer, you got to ask questions. There's no way you can find a device without actually sitting down and talking to them. And I will skip them and then deal with the customer waiting, get them out the door, and continue with the person trying to inform them and teach them. And people request me to work there. I'm more busy at the other shops, but I work there once a week. And the people there are amazing because you build this foundation. By asking these questions. And if more vape shops were like this, It would be a lot better.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think we're gonna get the double talk. It's Daniel. This happened last week. You might have to leave and come back. We get there. You had the voice. Anyway, I was just gonna say real quick, and with regard to that, is you're right, Daniel.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd like to see. And I think that now, with the way things are going, at least the trend bucking as it is, or as it were, with the vape mail bans and all that other stuff, is that shops are now going to get that opportunity. Yep. So if they were in it for the money at first, just to sell stuff and have a cool place for people to chill and hang out, now they're going to have that opportunity for their doors to swing wide for people to really get them off of smoking, because people aren't going to be able to go online and buy it anymore. Maybe. Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to
miss it.
It's not going to be all vape shops that are doing that, but a majority of them do try to sell whatever product they have on there. But yeah, I mean, it's smart. I think, like I was just kind of saying before, I don't understand why a lot of these shops don't ask what specific job they have. I think that's a huge part of what kind of smoker you are. Because
yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you smoke more at home and less at work because they don't give you the breaks or whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, not just that, but
yours.
what do you work in construction? Because if you work in construction, I'm not giving you a Vaporesso gin. I'm going to say you need a legend. You know what I mean?
You need something heavy duty. Are you in a stressful environment, for 8 hours a day? Do you get, how many breaks do you get? Can you go outside heavy? Because that's going to matter, because the guy, we all have, if you have a job that you're working in an office and you're working 8 hours, you get, what is the law? 2 15 minutes and a 30, right?
Depends. I mean, that's the average person.
Yeah, it's 2 15s and like a 30 or sometimes an hour break for lunch. But you have 15 minutes break, and most of the time, what is it, 7 minutes? I think I timed it. I think we've all timed what it takes to smoke a cigarette.
I was hotboxing, dude. I would grab like 2 and then go back inside. So I mean, it varies. Like I worked in a warehouse environment. We could just sneak out front anytime we wanted to. We probably took 30 smoke breaks a day. Well, not that many, but I mean, we took a lot of smoke breaks.
Yeah. So yeah, that comes into play a lot of times when you go in there and someone's working in an office environment and they get 2 15s and an hour break. Are you going to sell them a device that is not going to satisfy them when they do hit it for that 15 minutes? Or are you going to sell them a juice that's 3 milligrams or 6 milligrams, 18 milligrams, Vic salt?
But that's all relative too. Yeah, that's relative too. I mean, if you're a 2-pack a day smoker, I mean you need to know how much they're smoking, because you want to give them an experience that's going to somehow match that.
3 and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you tried really hard, dude, you could probably hotbox 3 of them really pretty fast.
Not American Spirits though. American Spirits, no.
No, I was doing hundreds, so I mean, it's hard to hotbox more than 2 of that, maybe 1.5. All right, moving on to item number 3. Here is your advocacy item for the day. Now, I apologize to everyone because I didn't even catch on to this. This actually happened today. So I don't know if there's going to be an open commentary period. I would encourage people in Utah to keep a close eye on this one through the CASA website, or follow your local legislation if you're so inclined. But this is what Utah is trying to do. They're actually trying to put a cap on nicotine limits allowed to be sold in the state. So this is an amendment to an existing tobacco policy that's out there right now. And so what they're trying to do is it may not be a big argument for a lot of people. Now, you can decide whether you want to fall on that side of the fence, that any form of tobacco harm reduction is tobacco harm reduction, whether it's 3 milligram, 0 milligram, or 50 milligram, 60 milligram. You think everything should be on the table in order to help people to quit smoking, because some people might need that 50 for a short while. I just don't think they need to persist. But this was a hearing that they had today, and so I apologize. I could not deliver this until now, right? Which is why we encourage you to keep your eyes on your state, on CASA's website about these things, because they'll have the most recent information. But this was today. It was a public hearing. It was closed down due to COVID. So you could get on a Zoom call, and I guess you could put in your commentary and request to speak at the hearing about your feelings on this particular issue. The bottom line is that in Utah, they want to basically put a nicotine cap that you can't sell anything greater than 36 milligram. If it coming from me, my opinion only, I don't know that is such a hammer on Utah. Like I think 36 is probably a plenty in a salt nick in a pod system for someone. Basically, this is about Juul mostly, but this is open systems as well, right? So this is a nick cap on. I'm sorry, closed systems. It's prohibit the
pods,
sale of closed. Yeah, so Juul pods that are 50, 60 milligrams per milliliter. They don't want anything greater than 36 available in C stores and in the vape shops. So whether or not you feel you need to follow up on this, some people think 50 should be out there because it's all the same thing. I would watch this because you could very well be able to come back to this particular page and they'll have one of those open commentary mail-in things. So you can at least offer your commentary if you're against it or for it or for whatever reason you want to approach it. But this is for Utah. Again, they're trying to pass a nicotine cap for anything over 36 milligram. So, again, you have to pick and choose your battles on these. But I think it's worthy if you think it's, like Mallory's saying, you got to have, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. If they want to get it down to 36, they could go to 24 in the next 6 months. They could go down to 3 and 6 eventually. So, it's your space. You live in it. You decide what battle you want to fight. Me personally, I just don't think 50 is necessary.
Yeah, Utah already has a funny law. What is theirs? Nothing comes in, right? What is theirs? They have a different shipping.
You can buy it within the state, but you just can't have it shipped in. So basically, it's an online ban.
Yeah, it's an online ban.
Okay, well,
they already have a funky little setup there, but yeah, that's what ends up happening. You drop it to 36, and then they figure, oh well, that went in nice and smoothly. Let's go to 25, and before you know it, it'll be down to 3 and 6, and then people are just going to go back to smoking because they're not going to get what they need.
Brian's late turned into I'm not going to make it probably. I don't know, Tom.
And by the way, Tim, you are correct. Tom, updated profile picture there on your YouTube channel, bud. Update it. That's probably like 8 years ago.
That picture is the equivalent to a filter, bro.
Filter, woo!
Yeah, we need the real Tom.
Yeah, behind.
We need the real Tom in that profile picture. Anyway, that's your news for the evening. I'm done, and I appreciate it. I'll give you the links, John, and I don't know, we're running a little late, so I'll stop sharing, and I'll slam them into the private chat.
Slam them.
Thank you.
And as soon as I get those, guys, I will put them on the into the chat there. Let me see here.
They're coming right now.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I was a little sad not having Brian tonight. I don't know.
Actually, it's the smoothest show
we had
in
Tom.
years.
We had Tom in spirit in the chat.
It's the smoothest show we've had in years. No, I'm kidding. Again, I want to touch on what we were talking about. If you guys are interested, and let's just say, I don't know, we're not that big of we're a big channel, but we're not a big show. But if you'd like to be showcased on our show, and a vape reviewer that has less than, what did we agree on, 5,000?
1,000.
1,000. If they have less
look,
than
he's already making a pitch for himself. He's already on the show right now.
And they have less than
that's his best Vanna White.
Yeah, less than 1,000 followers, and they'd like to be on the show. And just email us at Wednesday Night Live show at gmail.com. And it'll be very cool if you have something you want to review on the show. That'll be great. Or you could just come on and talk about your channel and your journey and why you started your channel. That'd be awesome. Hold on, I need a cough button. All right, there you go. And just email us. We will check those emails every day, guys, and we'll work something out. Like I said, the show's on every Wednesday at 6 p.m. 6 to 9 is what it is. 6 to 8. 6 to 8.
Well, it's 9 to 11 for me.
Yeah,
so if you're an East Coaster, it's from 9 p.m. to 11. And why are we even telling you that? If you're watching the show and you're in that time zone, you know exactly what time the show is on. But if you're new, East Coast 9 to 11, West Coast 6 to 8. What the? Oh, a brace.
And Mountain? What about Mountain?
I don't know. I'm not good with the middle parts of the country.
It's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, Central is what, 1 hour?
1 hour.
CDT is 1 hour before me, so that would be 8 to 10, and Mountain would be 7 to 9.
Yeah.
I think we've covered them all.
Oh,
And in
look at
Vegas,
Tom.
you can do whatever the F you want. They don't have time
Alaska.
change.
What about Alaska?
It's cold. It's cold, Daniel. It's cold time. It's cold time in Alaska.
Alaska.
Hawaii.
Middle of the ocean time. I don't
know what time.
I have no idea.
I have no idea where that is. That's not Pacific.
Well, no, they're further out. I mean,
They're
they're
further
off
out.
They're off the coast. Maybe Fiji time. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever Fiji time.
It's
whatever Fiji time
the
is.
time in Hawaii is relax your ass off time is what it is. I don't think they even care what time of the day it is there. It's always 75 degrees. So, yeah, no, I'd be happy as hell. I just wouldn't want to pay $8 for a gallon of milk in Hawaii. That just seems a lot. Guys, anything else? Daniel, thank you for coming on. You wanna throw something out there?
I guess thank you. Check me out on Instagram,
Yeah.
Daniel _the _vape man. Yeah, I don't know. And I love y'all and love ZampleBox.
We're all still here. Oh my gosh, I'm hearing myself again.
Yeah, I'll mute.
It's not. It's okay. It's no problem. No, but I mean, but the show's for the community. It's for the people here who join us every week, and we love having everybody here because this isn't about a company. This is about people who are vapors, working with vapors.
That's right. That's why this show is all about. It's about your guys' journey, everybody in our community. And we love getting more member spotlights. I know it's hard. I know everybody doesn't have the equipment that they need to come online, or they're just a little scared to do it. Like, we talk about this all the time. If you want to pre-record your vape spotlight, we'll send you the questions. You can answer the questions by yourself in your room, in front of your camera or in front of your phone. Record it, send it to us at Wednesday Night Live at Gmail. We love to promote it as well for you guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tim, as always. Daniel, thank you for joining us tonight. That is our email address down there. If you want to be showcased on our next week's show, we're looking for YouTube reviewers with under 1,000 followers. And again, if you want to do a little review, or you just want to come on and talk about your channel, why you got into it, how you got started vaping, we love to hear those stories. Those are the best stories. Those are the stories we love hearing. That's about it, guys. Say goodbye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.